Welcome to Narc Abuse No More, where we're here to help educate you about narcissistic abuse because your feelings do matter. Hi, and welcome to another broadcast of Narc Abuse No More with your host, Doctor and Evangelist K.O. Rich. Thanks for tuning in today. Today is Friday, March the 18th of 2022. I pray that you've had a blessed, stress-free, narcissistic-free, abuse-free week so far, and that the remainder of this week will continue to be so as well. But if not, we're going to be talking about a few things today. Again, my name is Dr. K.O. Rich with Narc Abuse No More, but we're here to help you admit what you feel in order to heal from the effects of narcissistic abuse, because your feelings do matter. Yes, they do. But before we go on with today's broadcast, I'd like to invite you to visit us on our website at www.narcabusenomore.org. Again, that website address is www.narcabusenomore.org, or you can type in narcissisticabusenomore.com. Again, that's narcissisticabusenomore.com. And on our website, you find valuable information regarding narcissism, regarding relationships, and you can listen to any of these broadcasts if you missed any. And just to let you know, we are on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Central, on SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Play, iTunes, Deezer, Castbox, also on Rumble and YouTube. If you have not subscribed to us on those platforms, please do so. Don't forget to hit the bell for YouTube. It will alert you as to whenever new broadcasts are aired. And if you're unable to listen to us at the time that we air, don't fret. You can also catch us in the archives. All right, what are we talking about today? We are talking about breaking the cycle of glorifying, belittling, and abandoning. Breaking the cycle of glorifying, belittling, and abandoning. And this is by Daniel J. Fox, Dr. Daniel J. Fox, and is dealing with a narcissistic personality disorder toolbox. And one of the tools that we know is that when it comes to narcissists is they love to operate in cycles. They love to operate in cycles. And so we're going to be talking about that today when it comes to the narcissistic abuse cycle, breaking the cycle of glorifying, belittling, and abandoning. Now, in order to be able to understand what you're dealing with, if you're dealing with someone that you think is a narcissist, you have to understand how they operate. If you don't know the rules to the game, you don't know how not to play. And one of the things that we know when you're dealing with someone that's a narcissist is they love to hurt people. They love to hurt people, and love should never hurt. And you might say, well, they can't possibly, but yes, they can. But those that have narcissistic traits, they only think about themselves. And so therefore, when they only think about themselves, guess what? That means that you're hurting other people around you because you're not thinking about anyone else's feelings but your own. And we know that narcissistic traits, it involves a lack of empathy, the need for that admiration to help them with to boost their low sense of self-worth, to boost their low self-esteem, because that's what it's all about. Anyone that has to walk over somebody else to get to where they want to go is actually not feeling good about themselves, regardless of the facade that they have, the mask that they wear, or that chameleon type of attitude that they have to blend in. They have to have this grandiose view of themselves, so therefore they do not understand that they really don't feel good about themselves. And they may know it deep down, but they want other people to not see that side, so therefore they camouflage it well. The thing is that when you are the recipient of this cycle, when you're going through this cycle over and over again, the only way to jump off is to know what you're dealing with, so that you know, hey, I can jump off of this. I do not have to continue in this cycle of abuse. So with Dr. Fox, he dealt with one of the things when you talk about narcissistic abuse cycle, the cycle of abuse, glorifying stage, and this is oftentimes when you meet someone, they don't start off belittling you. When you meet a narcissist, they're not normally going to show you their true colors right away. So they're not going to show you the belittling side of them. They're not going to show you the discard. But we're going to deal with these right now: the glorification stage, the belittling stage, the abandonment stage. You might know them by other names, and so we're going to talk about some of those other names. So the cycle of glorifying, belittling, and abandoning creates an emotional system. And when you in this relationship with them, you're gonna notice that your emotions are gonna be going back and forth, because you never know what kind of bag they're gonna come out of on any given day. So when you start off in this relationship, you're in this glorifying stage. This is the stage that you get all the attention. You might get gifts. You might be planning your future. You get a lot of maybe during the stage. If you're married, it's very sexual in the beginning. You get all this attention because they want to show you the best side of them. All right, they want to show you the best side of them first, before you get to see the ugly side of who they are. So this is the glorifying stage. We also call this the love bombing stage, when they're showering you with all this attention and gifts, and they're giving you all this maybe compliments and telling you how priceless you are and all these things. So this is the glorifying stage, and this is a stage that you really have to be careful, because it's going to change if you're dealing with a narcissist. You might see some red flags, something that's subtle that might let you know, okay, this is not who this person really is. This is going to stop before long. So you getting all these compliments, you getting the gifts, you getting the attention, you getting the phone calls. Oh, it feels great. You feel like, oh, this person is really, really, really caring about me. And in the beginning of that stage, then they're really giving you, feeding into your ego, feeding into what you're desiring, filling into what you need and what you're wanting, and you're thinking that this is the real deal. So you're hopeful that this relationship is gonna really be good. They're boosting your self-esteem. They making you feel great, but you definitely need to be careful. Because again, narcissists are very charming. Therefore, in the beginning of a relationship, you're going to see the best side. I remember the commercial, "Come see the softer side of Sears." I don't know if you all remember that. So during the initial phase, when you're dealing with a narcissist, you're going to see the softer side of Sears. Okay, in that sense, the softer side of the narcissist. They're not going to show you their true colors and who they are. That's why it's so important to be able to take your time when you're dealing with relationships. Take your time. Ask God for spiritual discernment so that you will not be fooled as to when you meet this person, because if they're showing you their best side, then you're not actually getting the full, complete picture of who they really are. So make sure that you take time to get to know this person, and pay attention to all the things involved when it comes to this person. Even pay attention to what other people say. Now, you can't always go by what other people say, but just pay attention to the good, the bad, and the ugly, so that you will know what you're getting in this relationship, past the love bombing, past the glorification stage. And the next one is belittling. belittling. This is the devalue stage. This is you start seeing some things. You might set boundaries. You might want to set boundaries, and you will see that they will not respect those boundaries, that they will reject those boundaries, that they do not want to honor your wishes, that they feel that you setting boundaries for them is hindering their progress with where they want to go. So they will devalue you. They will talk about you. They will belittle you. They will threaten you. They will put you down in order to feed their ego. They will also gaslight you, make you think that what you are thinking about this relationship or who they are as a person is just all in your head. And you have to be very careful with this, because this will make you start doubting yourself. Is there something wrong with me? Where you were used to being in the glorification stage, then now you're in the belittling stage, where they're using demeaning comments, they're withholding affection, they're using manipulation, they're making you doubt your reality, as we call gaslighting, your perception of things. And you're seeing a lot of red flags. Let me just say this. When you're in a relationship, if you're getting to know someone, do not ignore the red flags. If you think, oh, it's going to get better if I ignore them, it's actually going to multiply if you ignore them. Do not ignore the red flags. Make sure that you pay attention to the red flags. Because in the beginning, everything might seem like gravy. But then you're going to find out that it's anything but. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a moment. That's a sound of a world. That's time. Having a good time. That's a sound of pain. Change, change, change. Chain of Fools by the late Aretha Franklin. So we're still talking about this relationship cycle, this cycle of abuse, this cycle that's consistent of glorifying, belittling, and then we come to the abandonment cycle, the abandonment part of the cycle, where they discard you, where they abandon you, and you will see that this person, they disappear, and you have this feeling of abandonment because they have blamed you for the problems that's within the relationship. They blame you for everything that's gone wrong. They never take responsibility for anything that has taken place within the relationship. So then you will find that they will abandon you emotionally, abandon you physically. They will never deal with the things that they are doing within this relationship. And you're asking yourself, well, what did I do wrong? You asking yourself, well, how could I have made it better? But the thing is that when you're dealing with someone that's toxic, you're dealing with someone that's emotionally unstable, you're dealing with someone that is a narcissist or has narcissistic traits, then you can expect to go through these different cycles in that relationship, because after all, that relationship is toxic and the narcissist only thinks of themselves. So you definitely want to ensure that you are in a healthy relationship, not something that is I want to make sure that I have this relationship just because I'm trying to please someone else. You want to ensure that you are in the right type of relationship, and therefore this is why we're going through these when it comes to understanding the cycle of abuse, because so many people are just with someone just so they can say, hey, I got someone, I'm with someone, I'm not alone anymore. But is it really worth you sacrificing your sanity just so you can say, well, I'm with somebody? And that's what you have to ask yourself. Is it worth your sanity to say, you know what, I'm with somebody, so therefore I'm gonna just take what I can get? And no, there's something better for you. If God has ordained for you to be with someone, you don't have to settle for a narcissist. You don't have to settle for an abuser. You don't have to settle for someone that's toxic. You don't have to settle for someone that's going to manipulate, control, dominate, belittle you, demean you, devalue you. You need to understand your worth. And so therefore I'm asking you today, if you're in this type of relationship, make sure you jump off the train. If you're in a marriage and it's narcissistic, you need to go to counseling. All right. Make sure that if you are in an abusive relationship of any kind, that you get the help that you need, because no one deserves to be abused. Let me just say that again. No one deserves to be abused. And I want to give you for those, because I try to make sure I mention this at every broadcast. If you are in an abusive relationship and you need help, please call 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 1-800-799-7233. Also, you can go and visit their website for it's the National Domestic Abuse Hotline or the National Domestic Violence Hotline at www.thehotline.org. That's www.thehotline.org. You can also chat with them live online, or you can text the word START to START. Text the word START, START, to 88788. Text the word START to 88788. So we talked about this abandonment stage, where after they get done with the glorification, the love bombing, then their behavior start all over again. You have this abusive cycle where where you have this glorification, this love bombing, then they do the belittling, the devaluing, then they're going to do the discard of you. Okay, so they will criticize you, they will gaslight you, they will be passive aggressive, aggressive and even trying to embarrass you, and then the cycle goes all over again. So we want to talk about this scarred stage, that if you feel that, hey, they've abandoned you emotionally, if they've abandoned you physically, then you don't want to try to hold on to something that is abusive, that is toxic. If that person is not willing to get the help that they need, I'm not talking about just talking about it, they need to actually get the help that they need. And that's why we did a few broadcasts for men, because women are normally the ones that's mostly abused, but men are sometimes abused too. But we did a broadcast, the last one, dealing with men going to get the help that they need, not feeling like I'm too masculine to get the help that they need. And the thing is, abuse can be either done by a male or a female. And if you know that you're the one that's doing the abuse, then you need to get help. Sometimes it's both people that's in the relationship that's being the abusers, that's being the aggressors. And so both of you all need help in order to understand what it is that's causing you to react in the manner in which you're doing, to act the way that you are, that's causing trauma, maybe towards your children, towards each other, towards the family together. So we want to definitely deal with those types of issues. So here are a few questions that you really need to ask yourself. And you need, because you need to understand it, and sometimes you have to journal the things that are taking place in your relationship. So can you clearly identify instances of glorifying in your relationship? Can you name, and sometimes you have to sit down and say, okay, this is when this person is really being loving, this is when they're being attentive, this is when they're making promises, when they're giving gifts, what causes it, when is it happening? If you know that you're in this toxic relationship, and you have what we also call the honeymoon stage, this glorifying stage, when you're the best thing since chocolate cake, and they treat you that way, but then you know it's going to change. So write down those times when you feel like you're in this glorification stage. Also, do another thing. Write down the instances of when you've been belittled. When do they criticize you? When do they make jokes at your expense? Acting passive aggressive. When are they calling you names? When are they gaslighting you, making you doubt your reality or your perception of things, knowing that it's true, but then they want to make you seem as if it's something wrong with you? So when is this occurring? You need to take note of when this occurs. And then you also need to notice the abandonment stage. When do you see them discard you? When do they make you feel as if they're out of the picture, or they leave and never come back, hardly until they get ready, or they ignore your calls or things? When do you feel like you're being discarded in this relationship? These are things to take note of, so then you can know the cycles in which it's happening, what causes it, when is it, when are you actually just being used as a convenience? Is it when they want money? Is it when they want sex? Is it when they want something from you? You need to take note of these things so that you would know what needs to change in your life. And to start to overcome the glorification stage, you need to examine qualities and ask yourself some questions, because you have to really be honest with yourself. When you're dealing with abuse, be honest with yourself and say, yes, I am experiencing these things. So here's a question to ask yourself. Is my partner giving me something that I'm missing? Because a lot of times people are in relationships, they feel like, well, I'm getting something out of this relationship that I wouldn't otherwise get if I was not in it. Let me just say this. If you're getting abuse, if you're being abused in a relationship, regardless, I don't care if they're buying you cars, houses, money, giving you money, jewelry, whatever, it is not worth you going through the abuse just to get have a temporary satisfaction of getting material possessions. So am I getting something out of this relationship that I am missing? And oftentimes, when someone is in an abusive relationship, they're not really getting anything out of it. They're just in it for the sake of saying that I'm in a relationship. But do you really want to be in a relationship that is unhealthy? The next thing is there something that I can give myself? Is this something that I can give myself? Are you in a relationship because you think I'm getting something out of it, or I can get something out of it, but you can really do that for yourself? There's a saying that I can do bad all by myself. What that means is I don't need someone to make my life miserable. I can do that by myself. Okay, so therefore I will be single. I will be alone before I be in a toxic relationship that's going to make me miserable, stressed out, and dealing with all kinds of abuse. Can I look at my relationship objectively and clearly? Sometimes when you're in the relationship, you're the one, you can't see things clearly. So are you able to actually be honest with yourself, not trauma bond, not have Stockholm syndrome where you empathizing with the abuser? Can you actually say what the relationship is at the point it's at? Can you be honest with yourself and say that? Do I glorify my partner to overcome my own shame, doubt, and wounds? What this means is, are you the one that is glorifying your partner, saying, "Oh, they're lovely, they're wonderful." You're trying to make it seem as if they have all these wonderful qualities, when deep down you know, but you're trying to overcompensate for what you don't feel about yourself. Because sometimes we can try to make someone feel that there's something that they're not. You have a lot of times where women will protect the abuser, even when they have the police there to try to help them, but they're going to protect the abuser because after all, they feel that this abuser has something that I don't have. I wouldn't be nothing without this person. And we have to change that mindset. Yes, you are somebody, and you don't need that person that's abusing you to make you feel as if you are worth something. When you overcome these cycle of abuse, you have to say to yourself that I got to change my mindset. I have to change my mindset. That means that I'm going to give myself what I need. I'm not going to rely on the abuser to give me what I need. I'm going to rely on myself. First of all, I believe in relying on God. I'm going to rely on God and then myself to give what I need. Next thing, I will empower myself. So many people put their self-esteem and their self-worth in what someone else is saying, but you have to be the one to empower yourself. There's a scripture in the Bible where David said that he was going to he encouraged himself in the Lord. He was going through a situation with his men wanting to stone him, and David had to encourage himself in the Lord. So you have to empower yourself. I will overcome my shame, doubt, and wounds. How do you want to? You want to overcome these things. You have to take that first step. How do I will overcome my shame. I will overcome my doubts. I will overcome my wounds. And the first thing is by not listening to what that toxic person tells you. Do not listen to the negativity that they have to say about you. You are not what they say. See, sometimes when you're dealing with an abuser, they want to make you feel like your sense of worth is wrapped up only in what they say and think about you. No, scratch that. God has already determined who you are, what you are, and your worth. He paid it all. He paid the price for you. So that means that you are, like Master Charge used to say, I'm priceless. To overcome the belittling stage, you need to examine some instances where you had experienced some things. And again, when you're trying to overcome things, when you're trying to move past it, when you're trying to progress, when you're trying to heal, you have to be honest with the things that took place. If you're saying, oh, it wasn't that bad, then you're not being realistic with yourself. You have to say, this happened to me. That means that you have to tell yourself that I do deserve to be spoken to with respect at all times. Do I deserve to be spoken to with respect at all times? And yes, you do. But you have to tell yourself that. Ask yourself the question, do I deserve respect? Do I deserve someone to love me? Do I deserve for someone to respect my boundaries? Of course. Would I be okay with someone belittling my friends the way that I am belittled in this relationship? Turn it around. If you think that, well, I can deal with this, would you want a friend or a family member to deal with the situation that you're dealing with? If you're in an abusive relationship, would you want this for someone else? If you were seeing someone else in the exact same situation that you were in, would you want them in that situation, or would you want them to get out of it? And if you say to yourself, well, I would want them to get out of it, then that means that you need to look into that yourself. To say, you know what, I'm in this abusive relationship. I need to value myself. I wouldn't even want no one else. I wouldn't want my child to be in a relationship with like this. I wouldn't want a family member to be in a relationship like this. I wouldn't want a friend to be in a relationship like this. So why am I in this abusive relationship? We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a moment.
I've been loving you too long to stop now. You want to be free. My love is growing stronger as you become a habit to me. I've been loving you oh too long, and I don't want to stop now. Oh. Can you do that one more time? Just like do it just one more time. One more. With you, man, has been so wonderful. I can't stop now. Your love is growing cold. My love is growing stronger as our affair grows old. Ooh, I'm loving you oh too long, and I don't want to stop now. No, no, no. I've been loving you just a little bit too long, and I don't want to stop now. No, no, no. Don't make me stop now. Have mercy. No, babe. I'm down on my knees. Please don't make me stop now, yeah. I love you. I love you. I love you with all my heart, and I can't stop now. Please, yeah. Don't make me stop now, yeah, yeah, yeah. With all my soul, I love you. I love you. Good God Almighty, I love you. I love you, baby. I love you. Good God Almighty. Good God Almighty, I love you.
And that is Otis Redding. I've been loving you too long. And some people, you've been in these abusive relationships. One day too long. One day is too long. So we're talking about asking yourself questions, being honest with yourself. And when you're honest with yourself, then you can truly say, you know what? I'm looking at this relationship and I'm understanding that I deserve more than what I've been getting in this relationship. Can I challenge the red flags that I see? When you see red flags, when you're seeing warning signs, can you say, you know what, I'm no longer going to ignore those warning signs. I'm going to pay attention. Those red flags that I'm seeing that I've been pushing up under the rug, no, I'm going to actually challenge those red flags that I see. Do I deserve respect and attention that makes me feel good about myself? Some people feel like, oh, well, you know, I don't deserve respect. I don't deserve attention. There's nothing special about me. Everyone deserves respect. And everyone deserves the right type of attention, not the wrong type. The right type of attention, not the narcissistic type where it's all about me. But when you're in the current relationship, both of you all will give attention and time and communicate with one another when you're in a healthy relationship. Is there anything that would be so demeaning or belittling that it would warrant ending the relationship? You have to set boundaries. Sometimes people feel like, oh, well, love conquers all. You have to set some boundaries and saying there is some things that I'm just not going to accept in the relationship, okay? Even before you say I do, there needs to be some things that you're saying, you know what, is an absolute no when it comes to this relationship. Number one for me is abuse. You ever raise a hand to hit me, that will be the last time. And I promise you it will be the last time. Because I will not take abuse. That means I'm out. Because what happens is when women, they allow the man to do it one time and then he'll do it again and then he'll do it again because you have already set the standard that you can get by with it the first time. So therefore, I'm going to keep continuing to do it. And they'll listen. Because the thing is, if someone can raise their hand to hit you, then there's already saying that's a lot about, it's a lot about you. There's a lot about you when you're able to, as a man, raise your hand to hit a woman, unless you're defending yourself. Okay, you're able to raise your hand and hit a woman. Women should not hit men as well. That goes both ways. Number two, you have to have boundaries. My second one is cheating. Sometimes women, they be like, oh, well, if he cheats one time. No, the standard is if I can be faithful and not cheat one time, so can you. See, you don't go into the relationship with get out of jail free cards automatically. Oh, well, if he cheat one time or if he hit me one time. No, this is absolutely deal breakers. You have to have your boundaries set. Deal breakers. Absolute deal breakers. You have to know what's good for you. And you have to have boundaries. If you truly want to have that respect and have that dignity from a person, you have to set boundaries. Things that are not acceptable for you. When someone speaks to me disrespectfully, how will I operate? When I will challenge the red flags I see. You have to say that I'm going to challenge those things. If I see something that's causing me to question, I need to find out more about it. I need to investigate. I need to dig. I need to ask questions. No one is going to treat you like you treat yourself. You have to say that I'm worth setting standards. I'm worth having boundaries. I'm worthy of respect. When I feel belittled, I am going to. If someone belittles you, what do you do? Do you continue on in that relationship where they feel like they can keep doing it over and over and over again? Or do you stand up for yourself and say, you know what, I will not tolerate this in a relationship? See, this is why it's so important to have all this worked out before you get into the relationship, getting to know that person. Is this the type of person that they are? I would recommend that if you're thinking about getting married, you need to go to a good marriage counselor. Don't let anyone say, oh, it's not needed. It is absolutely needed. Because you will find out things in counseling that you would not find out just by being around this individual. Because oftentimes people that's in the relationship have rose-colored glasses on. You need to find out what makes this person tick, how do they operate when they get angry, what are their values, what do they believe in, that's a no-go for them, do you believe in setting boundaries, what things is just unacceptable in this relationship. These are things that need to be brought out in the marriage counseling session. If oftentimes if people would do these things prior to getting married, there would be less divorces, there would be less abuse. You will find out that this person is on the cuckoo side of things, and no, I will not continue with this. This is unacceptable. To overcome the abandoning stage, you have to examine and ask yourself, will I be okay if this relationship ends? See, if you think you're going to die without this person, no. Will I be okay if this abusive relationship ends? Yes, you're going to be okay. No matter how alone you think you may be, you're worse off with an abuser. So yes, you will be okay, but you have to tell yourself that. Will I be okay if this relationship ends? Absolutely. Do I believe that once I am alone, I will always be alone? And this is what scares people. They feel like, well, if I leave this relationship, there's not going to be anybody else for me. I'm up in age. I have children. I have this. I have that. I don't have this. I don't have that. I'm going to be alone. Let me just say this, and I've said this before. I would rather be with a cat and 2 dogs, or 2 cats and a dog in my case, than to be with someone that's an abuser, that's a narcissist, that's a manipulator, that's a controller, that's a devaluer. You're better off. Do I need to take 100% of the responsibility for the relationship success or failure? It takes 2 to make a relationship work. That means that if you're giving, and the other person is not doing anything but receiving, then that's not a relationship. It's not healthy. It's toxic. Both parties got to be willing to commit, willing to give to the relationship, willing to work, because relationships take work. There are no perfect relationships, because guess what? We're not perfect people. But there are some things that you don't need to try to fix if that other person is not willing to work on themselves. Abuse is one of them. If someone has to use you for a punching bag, let them work on themselves by themselves, and you get out and work on you as safely as possible. Can I see a future without this person in my life? If you're dealing with someone that's abusive, that's narcissistic, that could care less about you, you have to start, if you want to be able to have a healthy sense of who you are, you have to start visualizing yourself without this individual, visualizing yourself without this toxicity in your life, vision yourself without the abuse, without the name calling, without the sexual abuse, the physical abuse, the spiritual abuse, the financial abuse. Envision yourself what it's going to be like without having to deal with these type of things. Can I accept myself and be self-reliant? Again, so many people are in relationships because they feel like I need that person. I can't survive without that person. Well, guess what? Many people are surviving single by themselves every day. And I'm talking about abuse. When you're dealing with abuse, you don't have to stay in the relationship because you feel like I can't make it by myself. There's help out there. You don't have to stay in a relationship because you feel like I can't make it. I don't have any education. I don't have a house. I don't have a car. There's help out there. You just got to be willing to utilize the resources. You can make it. You can succeed. Don't let anyone tell you, oh, you can't make it without me. Yes, you can. Because guess what? All you have to do is turn to God. And God is your power source right there. You just plug in. Yes, you can. You can make it without the abuser. you can make it without the abuse. You don't have to listen to the negative, naysaying, all those things that the devaluing that the abuser wants to do, the narcissist wants to do. You can get off that roller coaster today and say abuse no more. We are up out of here. I pray that today's broadcast has been a blessing to you, and that you know that your feelings, they do matter. Yes, they do. Your feelings do matter. You have to tell yourself that my feelings do matter. This is Dr. K.L. Rich with Narc Abuse No More. Until next time.